guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing my personal favorite brushes. I was going to say blushes. Brushes from the drugstore. All of these brushes are really great quality. I think they're comparable to a lot of high-end brushes. And I wanted to film this tutorial style so you guys could actually see the brushes in action and get a feel for how they actually apply product onto the skin. So I really hope this is a super helpful video for you guys. Before we get into it, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel so you can stay updated whenever I upload my next video for you. And if you guys would come follow on, oh, I can't talk anymore because I've been talking for like 2 hours filming this video. And if you guys would come follow me on Instagram too, that would be amazing because I'm always on Instagram whenever I'm not actually here on my channel making videos for you guys. And now we can get into this tutorial. Let's get things started off with some skin prep. Just gonna clip that back. I'm gonna moisturize with my Supergoop Everyday Sunscreen. I already did do some sunscreen too, but this is like a moisturizing sunscreen, so it's really nice. And then a little bit of lip balm. I'm gonna use the Pharmacy Honey Balm, no, Honey Butter Lip Balm. All right, we're nice and prepped, so let's get things started off with some primer and illuminator. To prime the skin, I'm gonna use my Milk Hydro Grip. I love this stuff, can't get enough of it. Give your facial moisturizer a few moments to sink in. For illuminator, I'm gonna use the Bobbi Brown Extra Illuminator. Love this stuff. It's a really pretty light, shimmery gold. So I'll just apply that all over. Skin is nice and tacky for that makeup. We can move into foundation. So today for foundation, I'm gonna be using the Light Illusion from Flower Beauty. And I have two different favorite application tools for foundation. So I love sponges and I love the Real Techniques buffing brush. I'll do one side of each face with the other one. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this Nude Illusion foundation and we'll do the and we'll do the brush on this side. I should probably look into a mirror while I'm doing this. That might be helpful, right? And then we're gonna use the Real Techniques buffing brush to really buff this in. And the thing that I like about this brush is it is not so dense to where it makes your foundation look super full coverage. It's just the perfect density to really graze the skin lightly to where you get a really nice, you know, sheared out, natural looking complexion. It makes the foundation mold with your own skin so that it doesn't just lay on top, and it gives you a really beautiful, even application. There's no streaks with this brush. I just think the main star of this brush is really the density. It's just right in the middle. It's not too dense, it's not dense enough. It's just perfect density for blending out foundation. And it's really great when you guys want to work in layers to where you want to be able to work, you know, thin layer by thin layer just to get the most natural looking complexion possible. I think it is perfecto. Now, from the drugstore, I have two favorite sponges. I really like this one from Rimmel, and then I really like this one from e.l.f. Today I'm gonna be using the Rimmel one because I think this one is one of the best sponges I've ever used. It's actually the most similar to the Beauty Blender. And there's a great thing about sponges is that they're very malleable. So you guys have the ability to really pinch and contort the sponge to get it to fit exactly where you want. So you have a little bit more control with the sponge than you would with a brush. And the great thing about the sponge is it picks up a little bit more extra product than the brush would. So you're pretty much guaranteed to have complete control over your coverage. Sponge side, brush side, no streakage on this brush side, so that's why the brush is also really great. So again, it's just gonna be a personal preference thing. If you prefer a brush, I would definitely recommend this one. If you prefer a sponge, this is really nice because you can not only use it to blend out your foundation, but you can use it for blending in concealer as well. For concealer today, I'm gonna be using one of my favorites, Dior Forever. I wear the shade Sand. We're gonna do one side with a brush and one side with a sponge. Now, one thing I will say about concealer, I feel like if you do have a sponge, you probably don't need a brush. So I'll show you guys this eye blended out with the sponge. The sponge is really nice because it picks up, again, like I said, excess product And sponges are great when you want a little bit more of kind of like a natural airbrushed finish, because it doesn't leave any harsh lines. And you guys saw, I just blended out that under eye in what, 10 seconds, and it's already, you know, looking really nice. I would still probably, just because I'm extra meticulous about skin, I would still probably go in with my finger and, you know, just double press everything in. Now for blending out concealer with a brush, this is technically an eye brush, but I really like tiny brushes like this to blend out concealer. You get a little bit more control, and you don't have to worry about the brush being so large, something like this, to where it's gonna be carrying the product all over the face and kind of dispersing it further than you want. Because when you place concealer down, generally speaking, you want it to stay in the area that you placed it. So this is a defined crease brush from Eco Tools. And I'll show you guys, I'm just using these really tiny circular motions to blend the concealer in, and it's not going far. Now the brush is really great when you want a little bit more precision with your blending, because this is not gonna be, you know, blending out the product all at once. You get to blend as you go. And it's really great when you're trying to hide really dark circles or blemishes and things, because you can basically go like this. You can tap the concealer right where you want it. I'll put a little bit of extra coverage. And instead of using the sponge to blend this out, you can take this brush and really keep the concealer essentially exactly where you placed it, and just get it blended out to look really full coverage just in that slight area. That way you're not putting so much coverage under the eyes that way you're not putting so much coverage under the eyes to the point that it starts looking cakey. So this brush is great because it just allows you to have precision on the points that you're blending. You know, great if you want to have other little spots that you want to hit with concealer, because the brush just has the ability to really get in there and give you more precise control over the areas that you're concealing. Moving on to eyeshadow brushes, this is gonna completely pertain to the type of eye makeup that you wear. I think most people, generally speaking, especially if you're just starting off, can get away with these 4 eyeshadow brushes. So you'll need a flat shadow brush that you can use to pack color onto the eyelid, a blending brush that you can use to blend out harsh edges of eyeshadow, but also just create light washes of color on the eye, a angled brush for doing you know, like precise liners or blending out eyeliners, and then a pencil brush, which you can use for, again, smudging out eyeliner pencils or smudging out the lower lash line. I think these 4 brushes are a great place to start if you don't know where to start with eyeshadow brushes. These will have you covered. First brush we're gonna go in with is that flat brush, and we're going to apply this all over the lid and see how much pigment. It's really just kind of laying all that product on there directly to the lid. You're getting a lot more impactful pigment from this flat brush than you would be if you were to use this blending brush. So for, oh, I dropped it. So I'm gonna take Out of the Woods from Almay. And for tutorial purposes, I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like when you use the fluffy eye blender, and just create more of a light wash of color on the eye. See how my eyelid skin is still peeking out from behind this shadow? That's what these are really great for, when you just want a light wash of color. And then they're perfect for blending out the crease. This brush will just make everything a lot softer, further blend out that shadow. But see how this one just has a light wash of color? You can still see my eyelid skin peeking out through. So this is great for just doing washes of color on the eyelid, as well as blending out any harsh lines. Whereas the flat shadow brush really gave us full impactful pigment on the eyelid. I am applying some of the Almay Gel Smooth Liner to my top lash line, just like that. And then I'm gonna take that angled brush that I was telling you guys about, and I'm gonna use this to just kind of soften out the edge and just make sure it looks nice and blended and not too harsh. And then I'll take my smudge brush and I'll show you guys how this gives you a little bit less precision and a little bit more of a smoky, hazy effect. as you guys can see, these two eye brushes really create dramatic differences. The angle brush side, much more precise, just slightly blended out, whereas the smudge brush, it's a lot more hazy and a lot more blown out. So I do think the two of these will give you different effects, so you can use both of them and not feel like they do the same thing. Setting the face, woohoo. So when you're setting the face, I don't like anything, again, that's too dense, that's gonna put down too much powder to the point that your face is gonna look chalky and matte. So you have two favorites from me suggested to you. One of my favorite setting powder brushes is the EcoTools Multitasking Powder Brush. To set my face, I'm gonna use the Laura Mercier Glow Powder. Again, we're using these stippling motions, just kind of bouncing the powder onto the skin. We don't want any of the swipey motions. That's how you disrupt the base. This brush is super light and fluffy, and it's never gonna put too much powder on the skin to where you look chalky and matte. Because you can see by the shape of this brush, and just when I touch these bristles, they move around a lot. They've got a lot of flex to them, and they're not going to, you know, be so tightly packed that you're picking up so much powder and just laying powder on the skin. This type of brush will always give you a really nice, natural looking, soft matte finish. Let's say you don't wanna buy a powder brush. You can take your powder, I'm gonna tap a little bit more into the lid, holding your sponge like this so that you get this surface of the sponge. You're going to roll it into the powder, whether it's pressed or loose, and then lightly tap the powder onto the skin using your damp sponge. Just like that. And you'll get the same effect. Both sides of the face look evenly powdered. Hands down, my favorite blush brush is gonna be these guys. So this is a Wet n Wild P53. I believe this might be discontinued, but if you can get your hands on it, highly recommend. And then the dupe for it is the EcoTools Define brush. What I really like about this brush is that at the top, it's really dense. So you get to pick up all the pigment, and then throughout the body of the brush, it's much less densely packed. So the outside of the brush just really blends everything and just makes the blush look the most natural. So for blush today, I'm gonna be using, it's actually a bronzer, it's just this Guerlain Blondes bronzer. You're gonna pick up the blush, and then you can just start swirling it onto the apples of the cheeks, and this makes blending so much easier because the brush basically does all the work for you. You just have to do the movements, but the blending with this type of brush is so much more natural and effortless. A lot more of a no-brainer than something that's more structured. Now for bronzer, this is one of my all-time favorites. It is from EcoTools. It's a full powder brush, and it's basically a giant version of the ones I just showed you guys, those little blush brushes. But again, it's got that nice dense top and loose fluffy edge of the body of the brush, so the blend is so much easier. For bronzer, I'm going to be using my NARS Casino. Tap that excess off, girl, and then when you're applying your bronzer, use the shape of the brush to your advantage. You see that it's more dense right there, so lay the densest part of the brush closest to your hairline, kind of wiggle it, and you will get that really nice, seamless blend of bronzer. So just start around the perimeter of the face, up by that hairline, wiggle that brush around, and you will get a really beautiful, natural airbrush looking blend. Pick up a little bit more product. Again, use the shape of the brush to your advantage. You see where it's the most dense and precise? Use that to lay the product down and let the bristles of the brush do the work. You do the movements, but let the brush do the work. The other really nice thing about this brush is, as you guys can see, it does move around a bit. So you can pick up the bronzer at an angle like this. I'm dipping the brush in like this. And then you can use this to just kind of graze the skin a little bit, because at this point we do have powder all over, so you're not going to be doing as much disruption. And you're not pushing hard, you're just lightly draping the bronzer over the skin. For highlighting brushes, you do have a couple options. So you can go for something like this. This is one of my favorites. It's the Real Technique setting brush. This is gonna give you a much more precise, more metallic more strong looking highlight because it's so tiny, and it is gonna just, you know, give you a little bit more of a stronger looking highlight. Or you can go for more of like an airbrushed veil, you know, just light glisten of highlight with the multitasking powder brush from Real Techniques. So I'll show you guys this one first because this is my favorite. This is the one I would recommend. I'm gonna use the Bobbi Brown Beige Shimmer Brick. This side of the face with the multitasking powder brush. And do you see how it just kind of lightly puts down the highlight? It's nothing too crazy, but you still get that really nice glow. Lightly graze the skin with it. It's not for doing like a precise highlight. It's more for doing a highlight that just kind of appears and doesn't look too intense. Now, if you did want an intense highlight using the Real Techniques setting brush, just kind of working the product into the brush, you can use this one to really create a much more strong and precise looking highlight where you can really get under the brow bone and you can get like, so this one just gives you a little bit more precision when you're highlighting, but I just prefer the multitasking powder brush because I think it just blends everything out a little bit better and you don't have to worry about looking stripey. For the sake of saving time in this video, I finished off my face off camera. I'll have everything listed for you guys in the description. But I really quickly wanted to touch on body. Now, this isn't necessarily like a must-have brush, but I do know during the summertime, a lot of us go to special events, so we're wearing body makeup, MAC Face and Body to cover up bruises, or Sally Hansen airbrush legs to cover up leg bruises, because my legs are always bruised. I bruise my legs like twice a week on my own bed frame because I'm so clumsy. But not only is this brush great for body makeup, it's also really great for body glow. So this is from e.l.f. It is the e.l.f. Multi Blender Massager. It has this really nice short ergonomic handle so you can really get in there and blend out the product. It's really dense, so it gives you great payoff and opacity and just the perfect amount of, you know, coverage with whatever product you're using. And the handle is really great thing because you can really get in there and massage the product into the body, whereas if you're using something like this, it's a little bit more awkward to be blending this onto the body. So this is really great. I just wanted to show you guys really quick. I'm gonna use this Wet n Wild's Mega Glow Loose Highlighting Powder. This is in Hustle and Glow. I'll do the other one, and this will just make the body shimmering process a lot easier. So there's that arm glow. This is just a lot easier to use than a makeup brush because you get a lot more coverage of area and it's nice and dense. So like, look, now everything is looking super glowy and super reflective. It just looks so nice. All right, guys, so that is everything I wanted to cover in this brushes video. I seem to get a lot of questions about brushes for you guys, and I just figured this would be a great video for those of you who don't know where to start with brushes. So if you're a beginner to brushes, or for those of you who are, you know, super into makeup but still just want to know some of my personal favorite brushes from the drugstore. And I also was really hoping that filming this more tutorial style would be helpful versus me just sitting here and talking about the brushes. That way you guys can really get a feel for the way that they actually apply product onto the skin. So if this was helpful, please leave a comment, let me know. And if you guys have any questions regarding these brushes, just leave a comment. I always do my best to get back to you guys. I'll have them listed and linked in the description, as well as all of the products, the makeup products that I used in this video. And leave a comment down below. Let me know some more drugstore content that you guys want to see. But I think that's everything I wanted to touch on. Just leave a comment, question, concerns. Subscribe to my channel, please, if you didn't earlier. Please be sure to also come follow me on Instagram.